That is the plan of action for 2010. For 2011, what will happen is, this is a growing phenomenon. The power will be so much that a blessing giver, if he gives a blessing to another, he will become a blessing giver. There is no need for him to attend any course to become a blessing giver. All that he needs is a blessing from a blessing giver. He also becomes a blessing giver. This should happen in 2011. In 2012, these blessing givers should form small groups across the world. They can form small groups in villages, in cities, in the particular areas, or wherever they want. They can form groups of 50 people, 100 people, or 200 people. They should form these groups. Then we will teach them how, it's a very special kind of diksha, how to give dikshas to themselves. The entire group must give dikshas to themselves. When these kind of dikshas are being given, what will happen is, everyone who receives this kind of diksha would start automatically growing in their consciousness. This giving dikshas to each other should happen there 2012. Then people's consciousness would so rise. If they are Christians, they would begin to experience Christ consciousness. If they are Muslims, they would experience the essence of Islam. If they are Buddhists, they would experience Buddha consciousness. If they are Hindus, they may experience Krishna, Rama's consciousness. If they are atheists, they might feel very close to the universe and the earth. So, people will be able to go into different states of consciousness. It will not be the same. It will depend upon his background, his conditioning, and his seeking. Since it will not be the same, we are not calling it sameness, we are calling it oneness. Though one might have a Christian experience, one might have a Muslim experience, one might have a Buddhist experience, all of them will feel very close to each other. There will be a oneness. There will be no sameness, there will be oneness. So there will be people who are filled with Christ consciousness, people filled with Buddha consciousness, people filled with Islamic consciousness, people filled with Hindu consciousness. So as this thing happens, as large numbers of people move into these kind of altered, permanent states of consciousness, it will dramatically affect the world. So even those who have not received a blessing, they too would start moving into higher levels of consciousness. And as man moves into higher levels of consciousness, most problems should slowly disappear. That these problems are there mainly because we are functioning from a lower level of consciousness. As we move to higher levels of consciousness, naturally these problems will disappear. Yes. So, the other thing we want is, we want the fading away of oneness. For example, if tomorrow Cristobal is going to do the courses, we do not want it to be called oneness courses. It's Cristobal's courses. He can take the oneness teachings, he can add from his own life experience, he can add his own knowledge and create his own course. So we want oneness to be to slowly fade away. That's one thing. And we do not want to control things from India. We want it to all be locally administered. We do not want any funds to flow from there to India. We want all funds to be only in that country. And we want it to be locally administered. We do not want to be some cult headquarters controlling things from India. That is the next step. You should not expect us to lead us. You should lead yourselves. You should have your own leader. For example, Cristobal, he brought the movement to Mexico. He has worked very, very hard for the movement. People like him should guide the movement in Mexico. We should slowly withdraw into the background. Our work done in 2012 will be around the years 2013, 2014, offering some help and guidance to stabilize things. And after 2014, we want to completely vanish from the scene. All the buildings here will become like museum pieces. We do not want to be any more involved in the work because the work is done. We do not want to become a cult figure. We do not want to take any credit for it. We do not want to experience any importance for that. Myself, Amma Bhagavan, and all the others, we would like to quietly retire and no more interfere with the work. My successors are not my son, not my acharyas, not my dasas. My successors are the people. The people take over the movement. They have oneness in their hearts. It is not a concept. It's not an idea. It's a living feeling in the hearts. So it shall live in the hearts of the people. They are my successors, and oneness shall live in them, not as a word, but as a real experience thereafter. And unless we retire and we vanish from the scene, that will not happen. That is the final fading away of oneness, probably to the end of 2014. So shall I move on to the next question?
Yes, Bhagavan.
Yes.
How can we help Bhagavan, the oneness university in this transition, and to reinforce its presence in Mexico?
You have to start practicing inner integrity. That will be your spiritual work, or what you call sadhana. That is your spiritual effort. Should be to practice inner integrity. And the other is, there must be an explosion in the blessing givers. That can happen only if they can become blessing givers in Mexico itself and done by the local trainers. So for this, we would like the trainers to come to India and to get trained from us so that they could go back to their country, Mexico, and produce thousands of blessing givers. Because when no money is involved and no courses are involved, there could be courses, but not too big courses, but a simpler course which is very powerful, then we can produce lot of blessing givers. So you must help us by producing lots of blessing givers. Remember, what is happening is, this is a phenomenon. This is a phenomenon which began in 1989. It's called either the Amma Bhagavan phenomenon or the oneness phenomenon. And so far, for various reasons, we have been controlling this phenomenon. Now it has come to a point where we cannot control it, we should not control it. It should be let free. What is holding it back? One is the heavy charges. The other is so many courses. If we liberate the phenomenon from these two things, it will start exploding. So that explosion should result in thousands of blessing givers in the year 2010. And in 2011, as I said earlier, the next help you can do to me is the blessing givers, produce blessing givers. That is in 2011. And 2012, you must start organizing yourself into small groups, like the group that is sitting in front of me there, into small groups, and you must start giving Dikshas the way they would teach you to each other and move into higher states of consciousness. It can happen in Italy itself and through the Dikshas which you will give yourselves. And then after 2012, your state would continue to grow and to grow and to grow. There is no end to it. So let us liberate the phenomenon. Yes. Shall we move on to the next question?
Pasamos a la
Yes, Baba.
Yes.
Going to the seventh question. What is required to become a oneness trainer?
What is required to be a oneness trainer is, there must be great passion to help mankind and especially participate in this vision of 2012. That is the qualification.